So we are learning Tanya, chapter 6 is Shaar HaYichud Vehaemuna, and it's for the 16th of Sivan. Overview of chapter 6. The godly attributes associated with divine names Havaya, revelation, and Elohim, concealment, are all one, for all of God's attributes are comprised with each other. It is for this reason that the world, even though it might appear to run independent of God, is really inherently godly. So in today's lesson, the name Elohim is numerically equivalent in Gematria to the name HaTeva, nature, HaTeva with a Hey, 86. They share a common purpose, for nature conceals the continuous divine creative energy, giving the impression that the system referring to the world, just runs automatically, which is precisely the function of Elohim, to conceal, to show you as if everything runs independently, and Hashem is expecting of us to see beyond the, so to speak, beyond the call of duty. Our call of duty is to see that there is actually something much more than the nature, something that runs nature, and nature is really dependent, not independent. So earlier in chapter 4, the Alter Rebbe explained that the supernal attribute of chesed and gevurah, kindness, severity, sternness, the former finding expression in the diffusion of the divine life force that creates and animates created beings, and the latter finding expression in obscuring this life force from them. In simple words, chesed creates, enables, gives life, and gevurah, on the other hand, sternness, creates or severity, it's expressing itself through obscuring the life force from them, so that they conceive of themselves as independently existing being. Both possess one source. They're all chesed and gevurah, all coming from the same source. He explained there that since these two attributes are essentially one, chesed and gevurah are essentially coming from Hashem, tzimtzum or gevurah does not truly conceal, because it's only concealing from our perspective. It's not concealing anything from Hashem himself. From Hashem's perspective, it's not concealment. You can't hide from your own self. Gevurah is part of Hashem. Excuse me. So, for entity cannot conceal its own self. All this applies to chesed and gevurah in the state in which they are found within the source. One might, however, think that in their revealed state, whether in a sephira or in a mortal midah or attribute, they are indeed two separate and opposite entities, revelation and concealment, respectively. So the Alter Rebbe therefore goes on to say in this chapter that even when these attributes are revealed, they are still in a state of iskalalut, which means a mutual incorporation. They are blending together, and both serve to bring about one result: a physical world with corporal creatures. Meaning that, in a way, chesed and gevurah have a common objective. What's the common objective? A physical world with corporal creatures. The name Elohim, the name Elohim is the name of gevurah and tzimtzum. Limitation, concealment. Each of God's names denote a particular divine attribute. The name pronounced, for example, Kel, Aleph Lamed, indicates the attribute of chesed, as in the verse Kel chesed kol hayoim. The kindness of Kel endures throughout the day. Likewise, the name that indicates the attribute of gevurah, tzimtzum, contraction, limitation, severity, is Elohim. When the light of the Ein Sof garbs itself in the attribute of gevurah to bring about its own tzimtzum and concealment, it is known by the name Elohim. So it's the Ein Sof, the infinite light of Hashem, that encloses itself whether in chesed or gevurah. Hence, it is also numerically equal to HaTeva, which equals 86. Elikim in Ateva has the same gematria, the same numerical value. Nature signifies the ordered way of the world because of its repetitiveness. People become accustomed to it, and it arouses no sense of wonder. No thought is given to the divine power and life force which is concealed in those things, which have an established order and are repeated constantly. Why? Because there's a concealment of the light that actually creates the world. For the divine name Elohim conceals the supernal light that brings the world into existence and gives it life. Supernal light constantly creates the world ex nihilo, something out of nothing, a fit more wondrous than the splitting of the Red Sea. Meaning that the fact that Hashem creates the world constantly ex nihilo, something out of nothing, is greater than the splitting of the sea. The divine name Elohim, however, conceals this light so that it will not be visible to create beings. The splitting of the sea we're able to see, but the divine light that creates constantly ex nihilo we don't see.
Which is why we say Shir every day. We don't say Bereshit Elohim every day.
Right. The supernal light constantly creates the world ex nihilo, a fit more. And it appears as though the world exists without having to be constantly renewed, being renewed, but it seems like it's not being renewed, as if permanently programmed and is conducted according to the laws of nature, independently of any supernatural influence. Hashem Elohim Zen, this name Elohim, not as it exists in its supernal source, but as it acts through the attribute of Gevurah, so that the world appears to be conducted in a natural manner. Umogim v'natik l'shem Havaya is a shield and a sheath for the name Havaya. To conceal the vitality, the energy, the life force that comes from Shem Havaya, from the name Yud K Vav K, letter Yud, the letter Hey, the letter Vav, and the letter Hey, and creates Ma'iliyesh, something out of nothing. So La'alimo, to conceal this light, so that it should not be revealed to the creatures, which would thereby become absolutely nullified. He tells us if it would have been revealed, they would turn to
zero, zilch,
to nothingness, since it is only through the concealment effected by the name Elohim that created beings are able to exist. So we are able to exist through the name Elohim, through Ateva, through the nature, so to speak, that it conceals, create concealment, and if now that we don't see it, we're not nullified. We can create bittul within ourselves, but it's a limited bittul, limited nullification. The bittul that we generate, it's control, it's moderate. So the quality of this Gevurah, this severity and tzimtzum and contraction, is also an aspect of chesed. For example, if you see a child runs to the street and you grab him, what did you do, Gevurah or chesed? Both, exactly. So when Hashem limits the light, conceals the light, what does he do? Gevurah or chesed? Both. So really, the Gevurah itself is chesed.
Right. It's like that.
Shlomo HaMelech says, if someone doesn't educate his children, sometimes being stern with them, he hates his children.
Right.
Because if he really cared for them, he would admonish them if need, obviously in a constructive way,
right, in
an encouraging way, but if you completely ignore the situation, say, okay, whatever, say, for all the sins, Avo covers up.
I know you didn't know we don't have kids, but spirit or spoiled child, which means... So
the same thing, that's Chosech Shivta Son of Noah.
You have to, okay, maybe now you give them, put them in a corner or something, say,
right,
time out. Maybe you do timeouts. I don't know.
Time out, you limit them on certain things,
right.
certain things that they like.
I know nobody touches kids anymore, I got that.
But the point is that it's gevura, but it's really chesed embedded. We're not talking about people that are trying to let off steam or they're upset. They're carrying a luggage from the workday and they and they unload it on
I
the.
only tapped my kid, touched. I really, literally, and I cried.
Right. So.
she was telling me that was the funniest thing I did.
So it says that the quality of this gevura and tzimtzum is also an aspect of chesed, through which the world is built. That's why it says chesed she'olam iboneh. This type of gevura is also chesed. This severity that is chesed that the world is built upon that.
Because the world couldn't exist it couldn't exist on gevura. It can't.
Yeah.
Like we say in the.
Cannot exist on gevura. Cannot exist only on chesed.
Like it says in the Pirkei
Avot. This is the quality of gevura which is included in chesed. This is a form of gevura through which an act of chesed is accomplished. As such, it is included within chesed. The takeaway from today's Tanya: the world seems to be running its own course.
Yeah.
Godliness is concealed, period.
Yeah.
In truth, there is a divine energy, a hidden energy, but a real one, that allows for the world to exist every moment in this manner. In fact, this is a kindness of God. The concealment is kindness of God, for if godliness were exposed, then the world would cease to exist.
So tomorrow.